Hi, welcome back to another Terranscapes Rapid Fire Critique. You know me, sometimes I go long, so let's save the long time for the critiquing. All right, we have a piece from Red Eye, and before we talk about it, I just want to go through the photos here. All right. Very interesting. Okay, first, 3 photos. That's helpful. I can focus on things more individually. And again, he did a nice job sending it a big photo. One quick thing, watch out for the overexposure that you're getting from this window in the back. A lot of times the camera can't compensate for wild fluctuations in lighting. Oh, and I'll start the timer after the photography comment here. So close this off, evenly light it, because it makes it hard to focus on this back corner, which is wildly overexposed. Common problem, so no criticism on your photographs per se, but something to target for the future. All right, let's start the timer here. And let me go back to the beginning. One of the things that Red Eye Dave has requested was some feedback on the rope bridge. So let's start there. And I wish I had a better photograph of it, maybe a little up close, but this is okay. I can work with this. I like it. What do I like about it? First of all, it's real rope. I always love that, right? He's done some it's natural, it looks natural, and the scale is nice. He's got a well-sized scale for the miniatures in the project. Look at all these little slats. That's nice. A lot of times people might only put in, like 5 big ones or something, but that's not really realistic. He's got a lot of tight little tiny ones. It makes it look more detailed because it is. I guess, at first I thought these were too big to anchor the bridge, but you know what? They'd have to be big. So this is nice too. He's got these wonderful, look at how he's got an extra one here, and he's got an extra one here. I would tighten this rope up right here just to give this a better sense that it's contributing to the anchoring. And the rope itself, it looks frayed or algae covered, and that's probably just the result of the material you're using, but I can't quite put my finger on it. I feel like I don't know. It feels a little fuzzy. How's that? It could be a little fuzzy, but maybe the fuzz is out of scale, so it doesn't quite match the diameter of the rope. I might think along that line, but that's a tough one to call. Let's look at more of the general layout here. So he's got these rock pieces that are blocking off the water and giving the anchor to the pylons. You know what? At first I was going to say, I don't know about the grasses, but if they had to dig out the rock to put these pylons in, there's probably a little dirt around them, and the grass then could grow out of it. Of course, it's a nice way to hide that join, which probably doesn't look very attractive. And I always say, where there's a problem, it always looks better when you fix it than it would have originally. So this is a good way to hide that. I would like to see, though, maybe on a couple spots where it comes out and there's some dirt to see, and it would really give the realism that they've punched that into the rock and had to chisel it out, and maybe it wasn't a perfectly tight fit, especially because it's a rope bridge. This isn't a very formal environment, so they might have done that pretty quickly, and a little dirt has crept back in, or even leave it as a gap, something like that. Let's talk about the water before I run out of time here. I like the water, and he's done a nice job of getting a nice crisp edge on it, and he's got nice wave texture in it, and he's also got nice depth in it, and that looks like you've done an Envirotex or clear coat resin pour, epoxy resin, and then you've gone over it with I'm going to guess Mod Podge, partly because I see some bubbles in it, and that's very common for using Mod Podge because it just, as you push it around, it just traps bubbles. Grab a softer brush and push it more slowly. and watch for bubbles, and then pop them if you can before you continue onward. It adds time to it, but the bubbles are the one thing that are breaking what is otherwise a really nice illusion. Really like the water, and if you did that, you've got a fantastic piece of water instead of a really, really nice piece of water. Let's see. I like the sand coming down to this. He's got a couple rocks here. That's kind of interesting. I think visually it adds a little diversity, and that's nice. By the way, I like this rock surface. I don't know what you've used. Maybe a plaster cast. That's going to be my guess for some weathered stone. But it's nice. It's nice, and it's a soft feel, which is complementary to the water, which would be weathered over time. So like that a lot. And I think that's really all I can say. I think overall there's so many good things happening here. I like this. I like this little piece right in here that gives it the tree ring look. Nice. You could have used a regular dowel, which wouldn't have this. And if I had any improvements, I'd actually put in a couple more rings in here to give it even more of a wood feel, because that right away starts to breathe some life into what might otherwise look like a very plain piece of wood. And actually, having said that, I'm seeing these bark lines here. Looks like maybe you've used a real piece of wood, went out, got some sticks. Maybe you can't get more realistic than nature. And if that's true, and this is the natural pith of this piece of wood, then take it one step further. Add a couple more. Get out a really fine X-Acto blade, or maybe a clay sculptural tool, and see what you can do with that. Okay, well, one last thought. I gotta go. Maybe some washed up dried pieces of wood or algae or something like that. I don't know. That's a personal preference. I think a little more detail always adds a little bit more interest. By the way, nice sand. Look at that texture. Look at the scale. That's nice. This is the right scale for something of this size. And a lot of people go too large, and I have done that myself. And I'm learning to shrink my gravel size, my sand size down. So thank you, Red Eye Dave, for giving us a nice example of properly scaled sand. So hopefully you found something here of interest and maybe help. Thank you to Red Eye Dave for submitting this. Thank you for sending big pictures. And thank you, Red Eye Dave, for showing that people should try to watch their exposures and make a more uniform contrast over it. Anyway, stay tuned. More rapid fire critiques coming up, more videos coming up. And so hopefully you'll come back to see those, because I'll be back soon with another Terranscapes video.